Welcome to Shift into Legacy podcast, where big visions meet divine assignments. I'm your host, Oluseye Ashiru, and I'm here to help Christian visionaries like you turn God-sized ideas into world-shaking legacies. This isn't just a podcast. It's your weekly pep talk, playbook, and prayer circle all rolled into one. So grab your journal and maybe a snack or a cup of coffee because we're about to clarify, build, and amplify everything that God has called you to do. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey everyone, I am so delighted, so excited that we are finally connecting here on Shift into Legacy podcast. This is our very first one. It's an intro podcast episode. And I just want to share with you my heart, why we are doing this, why Shift into Legacy, and what you can expect from the podcast. Okay, so this podcast is for visionary leaders. So if you're a Christian coach, a counselor, a consultant, a ministry gift, an advocate for family, you are the one that we made this podcast for. So if your assignment looks like children's ministry, teens ministry, you work with parents, you work in marriage ministry, if you're an author, if you're a family life advocate, a parenting coach, anyone who's sent to families, who's called to the family space, you are welcome to be part of this podcast because this is the space where you can learn how to build a legacy with the God-given vision that God has entrusted you with. Okay? That's why we are here. So let's talk about why. Why did I come to you with a Shift into Legacy podcast? Okay? Let me take you back to 10 years ago on 14. That is November 14, 2014. That day started out like a regular day at work. So I had just come back from maternity leave and I also just completed my master's degree at that time. And so I got a call. I got a call from a friend on that day. And that one phone call just changed everything, changed the trajectory of my life forever. You know, that call opened my eyes to see the reality of who God has made me to be, to see the gift, the talents, the skills that God had actually entrusted me with over the years. You know, before then, people had been asking me questions around, we just see that your life is really put together. How are you able to do all these things you do? How are you able to manage your home? You don't feel overwhelmed. You're just able to put it together well and nice. And so I just figured out, you know what? This question has gone on for so long. God, what do you want me to do about it? Right? And that phone call was what changed my journey forever. And I'm going to be sharing more on this podcast with you about that story and some of the lessons that I've learned in the last 10 years and how it has really shaped me. So that one phone call really changed things for me. And I've seen that because of that experience, it was able to help me uncover certain deposits that God had placed within me and how He wanted me to use some of those gifts and talents and skills to bless families and transform lives across the world. My journey wasn't really all about knowing that I had a call of God upon my life. It was more of, I know that there's something about me, but what do I do with that information? It was really about embracing that call. It was really about me stepping into all that God had called me to be. Because before then, just growing up and certain things in childhood had kind of robbed me of my ability to really use my voice well, the way I would have wanted to use it. And I know that some of those experiences kind of silenced me from stepping into the fullness of all that God had called me to be. But I love that God didn't leave me to myself. God would not let that be the end of my story. That call, that single phone call 10 years ago marked the beginning of this journey that I've been on in the last 10 years. And today, I stand here to tell you that God has a way of taking ordinary moments in your life and turning them into extraordinary purpose. So this podcast is more than just conversations. It's a movement. It's a movement for leaders who want to clarify their divine assignments like I did, who want to implement the vision that God has put on the inside of them, who want to put systems, structures in place that will help them to expand their reach, help them to increase their impact and their influence across the world. It's for those people that feel the weight of their calling to families and they want to know, how do I build a lasting legacy? So, over the last 10 years, I've really had the privilege of building something with our team at Families Arising Global. And that vision has reached over 100,000 people across the world. We have reached across 25 countries in 5 continents. And I just feel like this is a time where I can give back to you by pouring into people who have a vision and they don't know what to do with the vision. I want to share some of the lessons that I've learned in the last 10 years so that you can also jumpstart your vision. You can grow the vision that God has placed within your heart as well. All right? So my encouragement to you as a visionary, as I start off this journey of pouring out into visionaries like you, is that you should remember that families across the world are waiting for your manifestation and expression. Children are waiting. Teenagers are waiting. Parents are waiting. Marriages are yearning for the resources, the gifting, the calling, the solutions, the programs that God has put in you to create, to bless the world. The Bible reminds us that all creation is groaning and waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. This is your time to rise up and to step into the fullness of your calling. What can you expect in this podcast? On this podcast, we will explore topics that help you to clarify your vision, things that will help you to design actionable strategies for your vision, how you can build systems and structures around the vision that God has placed in your heart, how you can refine your voice, and how you can partner with God truly to expand your reach and expand the work that God has called you to do. It's not time for you to hide and say, I'm just going to be my own little corner. It's time for us to all arise together and step up because families are really waiting on you. On this podcast, we'll also try to share some stories, practical tools, and expert insights that will help you to shift from simply holding a vision to actively building a legacy. All right? So as we begin this journey together, I want to encourage you, stay connected to the movement. Be a part of the community, lean in, be expectant, because I know for sure that God has extraordinary plans for you. And I'm here to support you, to walk alongside you as you step into your legacy life, right? So before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and don't forget to share with other visionary leaders like you who need to hear this message. I believe that together we can build the legacy that God has called us to create. Once again, I'm Oluseye Ashiru, and this is Shift into Legacy podcast. I can't wait to see you in our community, and I can't wait to see all that God wants to do with you. To get started to join the community, all you have to do is go to our website at shiftintolegacy.com to connect and to be a part of what God is doing with this Shift into Legacy movement. I can't wait to see you around. God bless you.